We are towards the end of the Maimer Basi Legani Tafshin Yates. We are on page Chaf Aleph in our Basi Legani booklet. So we're about halfway through chapter 8. So we left off having explained the concept of Ani Havai Leisha Nisi. We've been working in the Maimer towards something that Friedrich Rebbe says in his Maimer, in his chapter 9, that by breaking the kana, the stem, the leg of the kuf, you turn the kuf into a hay, and then kana becomes hine, right? So, and what's hine mean? Hine is revelation. And what revelation? So he says, the revelation of Ani Havai Leisha Nisi. And the Rebbe is explaining here in our Maimer that when we're talking about the revelation that we access, or what we experience, is the revelation of Mashiach, that the hine lekenu zeh, which talks about when Mashiach comes. And the Rebbe points out, zeh, the Rebbe adds zeh, beis pamim zeh, the 2 times zeh. Right, so there's the Zeh, which is a revelation of godliness, and then there's the higher Zeh, the second Zeh, which is the revelation of the essence of Hashem. And so when we talk about Ani, which is the level, he says, of Ani Havai Leisha Nisi. Now that a level of this concept of Ani Havai Leisha Nisi, that God is unchanging, works on many different levels. So in chapter 8, we're explaining in with regard to Mamala Kalam, we're talking about 3 different aspects of understanding, or ways of understanding Ani Havai Leisha Nisi. What we're working towards is trying to get to the point that when we say Ani Havai Leisha Nisi in our Maimer, what are we referring to? We're referring to the essence of Hashem. What is revealed, the essence of Hashem. So in other words, there's Ani Havai Leisha Nisi. When we say Ani Havai Leisha Nisi, so Chassidus explains, it means that there's no change in God. Right? So what does it mean that there's no change? There's a creation. Right? So in chapter 8, we start to explain, based on a Maimer, the Rebbe Rashab, where he works his way through these different levels. So the first thing is we talk about God as the creative force of God, right? The Eir Ein Sof. So the light that comes down and goes from one level to a lower level. So how could if the light is going lower and lower? So clearly the light is changing. If the light is changing, how do you say it's unchanging? So he explained, because the light is pashat, it's simple. Light doesn't change, even though it seems to dim as it gets lower, but really the light itself essentially remains the same. The analogy we gave from Kabbalah is the analogy of the light going through a colored glass. So you look at a light and you shine it through a colored glass. On the other side, it comes out colored, it's tinted, it's red, it's blue, whatever. But the light itself is unchanging. It's just the glass that puts this tint on the light, but the light itself is unchanging. Okay? But from the perspective of the glass, though, we continued, that is a change, right? Now it's a red glass, or in the words of the Maimer, with regard to the Keli, the spiritual worlds and realms that the light is passing through, where the light is dimmer or limited. So that's also a change. So he said, no, that's also not a change. Why? Because with regard to Eir Ein Sof, so that both the light and the limitation on the light are both from Hashem, right? So the light and the limitation is Hashem. The Havaya represents the light. Elokim represents the limitation, the restriction that's put on the light. So Elokim is also one of Hashem's names. So it's Hashem concealing Himself. You can't conceal yourself. So even from that vantage point, it's not a change. Right? An example for that would be a teacher who's teaching a student. Right? So the teacher understands things way beyond the student's ability to understand. But in order for him to teach to the student, what he has to do is he has to limit the ideas that he's going to teach the student. He has to limit them in order for the student to be able to understand it. He has to dress it up, put it in a metaphor, or whatever. So he has to limit the idea. So would you say that there's a change in the idea as a result of the way the teacher presents it to the student? Obviously not. The idea is the same. Not only is it the same, but the entire intensity and depth of the idea is embedded in that teaching, in that lesson. It might take the student 40 years to understand it, right? Like the Gemara says. But nevertheless, it's all there. So there is no change in the not in the Eiris, not in the Kalim. That doesn't cause a change in Hashem. So that's all true with regard to the creative energy and force as it creates, or the word we've been using is Giluyim. But then we get to the vantage point of the created being itself. We're talking about the Nivra, the Yesh HaNivra, the physical creation, and the physical creation itself is a product of the Dvar Hashem, the word of Hashem that creates it. So here, if the fact that everything here feels separate, and its separateness and its distinctness comes from the divine word that creates it, that brings it into being. So here we have to say that there is a difference. Before there was only God, and now there's all this other thing.
Say there's a difference because the existence feels existence.
Yeah. That's the question.
The perspective of the existing thing doesn't really matter.
That's the answer. That's what we're getting towards that. But before we, just to clarify, from the first two levels, whether we're talking about Ani Avayla Shnisim B'tzad Oyer or Kalim, from that vantage point, so here we're talking about the understanding of Achdus Hashem, the oneness of Hashem, that there's nothing other than, right, that even in the oneness of Hashem, that nothing changes as a result of creation. But when we talk about the essence of Hashem, once we're talking about that, on that level, it's not even a level, we're talking about the essence of Hashem, how could you say that it's the same before and after, when before there wasn't anything, now there is? So what's the answer? What did we explain in the last class?
Hashem's eyes is the same.
Is the same.
Hashem's eyes is
So what? So we explained like this. So we said that there's the example we gave. We brought from Shaykh Vamuna, from Tanya, the Rabbi Rasha brings in his Maimer, the idea of the sun and the rays of the sun. So you have the sun, and since the rays of the sun come from the sun itself, so you must say that the light of the sun exists within the sun, right? But when it's in the sun, it's completely nothing. What's in the sun? If it's the essence of the sun, so what do you have there? Just the sun. You don't have the light of the sun. If you can point out, if you can identify or isolate the light that is as it's embedded within the sun, then you're looking at the light. You're not looking at the sun, right? So the same idea is applied to creation. If you were to look at creation as something that or put it in terms that the Rebbe continues in Shaykh V'Amunah, he starts talking about Tzimtzum. If you look at Tzimtzum Kipshutei, right, the idea that Tzimtzum, this idea of the constriction, is literal, meaning that there's a space outside of God, so to speak, where the world is created. God creates an empty space where He puts a world. So here you have like the light as it is outside the sun. So true, the light as it's outside the sun is not really independent. Its whole existence is dependent on the sun, right? And were you to separate from the sun, it would cease to exist. But on some level, there's an independent existence to the light of the sun. Even at least theoretically. The light of the sun exists theoretically as an independent entity from the sun. But when it's within the sun, so here there's no existence. On the contrary, all you have is the essence. And so what is it that you're seeing? You're seeing the essence of the sun. Or to put in the context of creation, if creation exists only within Hashem's essence, tzimtzum, put it in terms of Alter, but tzimtzum shalei k'pshutei, not literal tzimtzum. It's a tzimtzum, there's only a concealment with regard, a limitation or a constriction with regard to the created perspective, but not from God's perspective, so it exists within the essence of Hashem. So here, what do you see? What is the nature of the existence? Not only the nature of existence, but the essence of existence is non-existence. Just the essence of Hashem, nothing else. The fact that you see something is completely unnatural. Yeah, this is really, if we study Shaykh V'Amunah, we can get into the progression of this idea a little bit more in depth. It's not so, we don't have to get into it now. The point here in chapter 8 that the Rebbe is making is that where do we come to the essence of Hashem? Where do we identify, recognize the essence of Hashem? It's specifically when we focus on Ani Havaya Leisha Nisi from the vantage point of the Yesh Nivra, from the created being. When I'm looking at higher worlds, I'm looking at the spiritual realms, the spiritual reality, I could come to Ani Havaya Leisha Nisi. What does it mean? That Hashem doesn't change. But there's a concept of spiritual worlds. There's a light that emanates from the sun. It doesn't get me all the way to the essence of Hashem. But when we talk about the Yesh Nivra, here, the only explanation as to how there's no change in Hashem as a result, even though there's a reality of a created reality, is only when we recognize that it exists within the essence of Hashem. No, any explanation short of that doesn't bring us to that. It doesn't satisfy doesn't answer the question. How can you say there's no? So going back again, Alter Rebbe talks about in Shaykh V'Amunah. First, he starts with the Dvar Hashem, right? That there's the Dvar Hashem, the word of Hashem that creates everything. So what happens as a result? We recognize that the world's existence isn't a real existence; it's only a conditional existence. So fine, so it's a conditional existence. But that means that there's no change in Hashem. The existence of the world is not this great, big, independent thing. It's always dependent, but it's still an existence. It's still something. As he continues, what emerges is not just that it's a something that exists, that it's a very weak something that's totally dependent on something else, but that it itself is non-existent. Okay? Now we're on page Chaf Aleph. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines from the top of the page, about, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Okay. Val Yidei. So through the meditating on this concept of Ani Availation Nisi, that I am God who doesn't change, so this brings out in the person, when we think deeply about something, it has an effect on us. It elicits a reaction from within ourselves. We react to it. If you think deeply about something, you'll react to it. What's the reaction? So he says like this. You'll have a desire for two things, spiritually and materially. Okay, first the spiritual one. When a person thinks about the fact, reflects on the fact that all of creation doesn't cause any change within God at all. So if you recognize that all of creation doesn't change God, so what does that mean? That all of creation's existence is really nothing. So all of the reality is nothingness. So what will that cause? Cause for you to try and connect with true reality. You're going to want only godliness. In the second thing is when you recognize that and at this next level. You see, the first one would apply even to the first two levels of that we talked about. That we recognize that there's no change in God when we think about it from the vantage point of the Creator. So what are we going to want? We're going to want to be part of the Creator. We're going to be interested only in Him. But when we think about it from the vantage point of creation, so this is the third level of Anei Violation. You see, the conclusion that we come to from contemplating the Yesh Nivra and its relationship with Hashem, that everything is within Atzmos. So the reaction is going to be that you're not going to want to have to derive anything from something that's non-existent, something that's just not true, where you don't recognize its true reality. So you want to be dialed into its true nature, its truth. You're going to want to be nourished, sustained only from the truth, from godliness. So the first thing is the desire to escape this world. First thing is when a person thinks about that nothing changes with it, God doesn't change as a result of creation, so that's going to cause a person to want to sort of escape this world, and be only interested in godliness. The second reaction is, no, I'm in this world, but what's the true nature of this world is God. Everything is within the essence of Hashem. So I want to find the essence of Hashem within everything. What sustains and animates everything, the truth of everything. What's the difference between these two reactions? The first idea that a person would want that all of his talents and energies, his love and his fear, life force, what's chaylev, the fat, that's the pleasure, meaning your passion and your pleasure. So you have your life force, the soul, your very soul, right? Your life, that your life should be, and the pleasure in life should both be they should be offered on the altar, meaning that they should all be for godliness. So you want to direct both your daily life, right? What it is that you pursue, as well as the pleasure that you have, should be in godliness. Should be the pursuit of godliness. This is not something that was only applicable in the times of Beis Hamikdash when we had literal, actual sacrifice. this world. So, look, you have like this. What does it mean? He says over here that the person has to work hard to overcome the darkness. What does that mean? We're talking about, again, that first aspect of Ani violation Nisi. The world itself is dark. There's darkness. And what is my desire? Since I recognize that it doesn't cause any change in God, so the ultimate reality is God, so I want to overcome the hardships of this world and pursue only godliness. The world itself it seems to be a contradiction to God. I'm going to overpower them, I'm going to overcome them. So I have challenges, right? And those challenges, I'm going to overcome them because I recognize that there's something higher, something beyond that, right? When can a person reach even higher? When he's overcoming challenges. In the time of the Beis Hamikdash, when there's Gilui, so then there's no challenge. How deep do you have to dig into yourself to pursue godliness? But specifically in a world that seems hostile to God, that you pursue godliness, you're going to have to dig deeper into yourself. So the challenges bring out a deeper yearning within the person and cause the person to reach a much higher level. Revelation of La'asid. Which at that point it says, on that day we will say, this is my God. When godliness will be revealed in a tangible way. At that point, there'll be the revelation of the God's energy within His creation. In other words, you're not going to see the creation itself, you're going to see the godliness that creates it. And what person will sense, will feel in a very tangible way that there's nothing other than God. So this already is something that comes la'asadav. This is not something that we have access to today. In other words, as long as there is impurity in the world, so as long as we look at the world and we see challenges, we have challenges, we face our own resistance to godliness. So here you can't. So what do you see? You see that resistance. So you can do the first thing, which is you recognize even these challenges are only a way to get closer to God. God is the ultimate reality. So completely was poor. He had nothing. He lived in a shack and he had nothing to his name. So he lived in abject poverty. You imagine life can't be too pleasant and easy and comfortable in that situation. So he comes to the Rebbe Zusha, and Rebbe Zusha says, what are you doing? He says, Magik told me to come here to see how to serve God in spite of challenges. Rebbe Zusha says, I don't know why he sent you to me. I don't have any challenges. He's got no problems. So so you can, based on what we're saying here, I think you can understand it a little deeper. What was he saying? So the simple thing is, he said, look, in spite of challenges, you can still be happy. You just, you don't look at it. But there's something more here. He can achieve this. I mean, the Rebbe's not talking about it here, but I think this helps us understand it. That somebody who doesn't see the world as a challenge sees the true nature of reality, which is the godliness. Obviously, there are many levels in it. There's the story of the Alter Rebbe right before he passed away, when he saw the koyach hapayil benifal. That's the language we use here. So seemingly that during his lifetime he wasn't on that level. Okay, what do we know from any of this stuff? The point is, though, at least at some level, we could appreciate this idea that as long as we see a resistance, so yeah, we'll learn a Maimer, we'll learn Chassidus, and we'll understand that the truth is not like this. And then we'll sit and we'll think, and we'll daven, we'll meditate, and we'll think about this concept, and we'll come to realize that this is the truth. That really the world itself doesn't have an independent existence, it's all godliness. And yet, at the same time, we're going to be faced with a challenge, and we're going to be challenged. We're going to have a pull, a resistance, because we still live in a reality where there's impurity. And so therefore, we can't recognize it. We don't see how we can find the godliness within that challenge. We have to overcome the challenge, right? This is also the idea that, when we say that Mashiach, now we're working towards the mind, we're talking about this idea that now even now, nothing exists outside of him, so therefore what is it? The true reality of everything is only God's essence. That's not going to be true later and not true now, that's true now too. But for that to be revealed, for a person to appreciate that, that'll be revealed in the future. Mashiach comes. And how? Through, number one, our service now of the Avodah Ruchnis, which is Krashim, which, as we explained before, that's the transformation of Shtus to Lumazet to Shtus to Kedusha. That's the idea we talked about before, about the sacrifices we just spoke about now, about overcoming challenges and hardships and pursuing godliness and having our interests lie only in godliness. And also, V'kiyam HaMitzvahs Begashmias, which the Rebbe introduces in our Maimer here. This Maimer, the idea that also, in addition to that spiritual service, is also the physical observance of mitzvahs. Through that, we transform the sheker, the lies of this world, and we attach it. We turn the sheker into a kesher. We attach it to the essence of Hashem, so that the gag v'ritzba echad mamish, that the roof and the floor are one, are literally one. So here the Rebbe finishes this point that up until this Maimer, or up until chapter 9, the Friedrich Rebbe is talking about Krashim, he's talking about Avodah Ruchni, he's talking about Avodah of Karbanis, he's talking about transforming the foolishness of this world to the foolishness of holiness, right? Suddenly in this Maimer, Friedrich Rebbe tells us that in chapter 9, the Friedrich Rebbe says that that the Krashim are pillars, and they're like the Amudim, like beams. What do? They connect the ceiling and the floor to be one. But how could the ceiling and the floor be one? What do you mean they're one? One is the ceiling, one's the floor. What do you mean that they're one? How do they become one? So yes, when a person does a mitzvah today, he's accessing the essence of Hashem. But the point is not revealed. How do you reveal it? So that's through this combination, right? So when we have the combination of krashim and mitzvahs, the spiritual service and the physical act, then what happens? Then we're connecting, the spiritual service then, through the mitzvahs, reaches the essence of Hashem. And what happens? We have Gag v'ritzba echad mamash. They become one. Because what am I accessing? Not a higher level of spirituality. Not like we talked about before, in Aniyah V'Eileshanisi, Achdus of Hashem that is in Giluyim. But we're talking about the very essence of Hashem. Right? And in that way, you have Gag v'ritzba echad mamash. It all becomes one. So, or to put it in the terms, the quote that we had, the Torah of the Magid, that v'chai b'hem, that you bring a chayis into all of them, into all the levels of ishtalshus. Everything is infused now with the essence of Hashem, which is revealed within all of it. Okay. Zeh Basi Legani, chapter 9. Zeh Basi Legani achesikala. This is the meaning of Basi Legani achesikala. I've come to my garden, my sister, my bride. That we quoted from the Medrash. That what does it mean? I've come to my garden, meaning I've returned. Basi Legani, I've come to my garden, meaning I've returned to it. Why? Because Iker Shechina, the Medrash says, B'tachtonim Ha'isa, it was down here in this world. What is our service now, post this the creation, is to make a home for Hashem in this world. And not going any further, so then you're not bringing that revelation. You're not revealing it, right? So that's only the beginning. But afterwards, you continue higher. That through that you continue up until you reach the highest levels. Nitzav Melech, that as the Alter Rebbe explains, we quoted earlier from the Igeres HaKodesh, I think in chapter 5, right? That they stand. The person is rooted that from being rooted down here. He becomes rooted in the highest level, Nitzav Melech, right? The firmness of the king. This is the drawing down of the Isnasus Atzmi, that essential kingship of God, which is only said about Atzmos, which comes as a result of Am, through us, our service, Am, which is Melashon Eimus, like the coals, which, as we said, feel separate. So when we feel separate from God, that and yet we serve Him, so that Legani would seem it fits. It's a different medrash. There's the medrash we're talking about Basi Legani, which is the idea of Ikashrim Echtayinim Haisa.